Welcome back, troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show. This really isn't a review, demo, or a rock or not episode. It's more so a discovery episode. Now, I am a member on the My Les Paul forums, and this is where I got a lot of my beginning knowledge. I don't post a lot, but I usually lurk or at least look at the threads once a day, just, maybe to get some ideas for my own content. But the user Bosnia Love posted a question about a guitar he wanted to purchase. And it seemed like everybody thought this guitar was good. Well-known members of this community were saying, yep, looks good, you have nothing to worry about. However, I disagree on this one. Now, I'm not formally blacklisting this guitar, I'm more so posting this video as a discussion topic, so you can draw your own judgments. Alright, so this guitar is claiming to be a 1983 Les Paul Standard in a tobacco burst quilt top with a bigsby. Now there's a few things to go over on this guitar. First, it's for sale in the Netherlands. Now there's nothing wrong with guitars coming from foreign countries. You'd be amazed where guitars can get to in their life. But when something that looks a little bit over the top is coming from overseas, be suspicious. And I say that because Gibsons aren't as plentiful over there as they are here in the United States. I have tons of international viewers because they're trying to learn as much as they can to make sure they don't get scammed. I've had quite a few guitars that I send overseas and they get made over. One of them was a Les Paul. It got transformed into this really weird red burst with cross inlays. It was actually kind of cool. And the other one was a little bit more sketchy. I sent over, I believe it was the Les Paul Professional, which was basically the very first edition of the recording model that Les Paul liked. It had a headstock repair. The guy full well knew it, sent it to him. He had it completely refinished in kind of a custom color, completely hid that headstock repair, 100% professional. You could not see it. And then he had it on reverb for like $5,000. So this does happen, and I think that is what has happened to this guitar. So let's take a look at these photos. You've got a beautiful quilt top with a bigsby and ABR1 bridge, and it's just an all-around beautiful guitar. Again, this thing is claiming to be from 1983. So usually on a guitar like this, you are gonna see some type of wear and tear. But this guitar almost appears too clean. And also, here's a shot of the bigsby taken off, so you can see that there was never a stop tailpiece on this guitar. So just take this time to really absorb all of this guitar. It is definitely a very nice looker, and usually a limited edition Les Paul like this would be right up my alley. I am the prime demographic for such a guitar as this. However, I have always felt since first seeing this guitar being listed over a year ago that there's just something not right about this guitar. So now that we've got a general overview, let's view what I think is wrong. I believe this guitar has been refinished and retopped with a really nice quilt top. Now, why do I think this? First off, this shot shows us it has an ABR1 bridge. Now, remember, this is early 80s. The ABR1 was not heavily used except for on prehistoric reissues and other limited edition custom ordered guitars. The bigsby and lack of stop tail studs leads me to believe that if this was in fact original, it should be a custom order. And in this time period, they would have a little decal that either said Custom Shop Edition or Custom Shop Original if it was a one-off and not just a limited run. So not seeing that on this guitar is very suspicious to me. The next thing that I find highly suspect is the serial number itself. Alright, so look at this. It's black. That is what a serial number from this time frame would look like. They had just switched over to the mahogany necks, and that's just kind of what they looked like. For example, here's a 1989 custom I just shipped out today that we'll see a review a little later on of. But this one, again, you kind of have that black serial number, but look at this Made in USA stamp. It's basically stamped the same depth of this. Whereas on this guitar, it's almost gone. Now, yes, there are stamping anomalies on many different guitars. Sometimes things just go wrong. There are some guitars where you can't even see the Made in USA stamp at all. However, this one looks like it has been sanded down partially, because it doesn't really make sense for this area to be stamped, more perfect, whereas this part wasn't. Now, if everything else was right on this guitar, I would simply write that off as an anomaly. But look at the finish on this thing. It is highly glossy, a little bit too glossy and too new for my tastes. And I've seen a lot of guitars in various different forms of its life, from brand new spanking mint condition to absolutely trashed. This one gives me the heebie-jeebies. And usually when I have a gut feeling on a guitar, I'm right. And there's many of times where I should have listened to that. Because here's another warning sign here, is even the seller is not sure himself. If you actually take the time to read the whole listing, you can see that it says there's no cracks and it looks surprisingly new for its age. Could be a refinish. So even the seller is kind of admitting himself right here that he knows it's a refinish, but they're trying to paint a hopeful picture that it could be original. And the seller even says themselves that it could be a retop and that the lacquer looks thicker. And here's a few more anomalies about this guitar. Look at this pickup cavity route in the neck pocket. First thing I would always check for is the short neck tenon. It has it, so I'm not suspicious that this guitar is not even a Gibson. If you find a long neck tenon in this era, you either have a very rare Strings and Things reissue, or something has happened to that guitar. They just didn't use long neck tenons on Les Pauls at this time. Now, many parts on this guitar also look replaced. The knobs definitely look newer to me. I honestly don't think those are vintage Grovers. They kind of have those plastic spacers. I'm pretty sure that's more of a modern thing. And the Keystone style tuning pegs, that looks modern to me. I could be wrong on that, but those don't look stock. Now, it does appear to at least have one original shawl left in it, so I have no doubts to the authenticity of the guitar being from 1983. However, I could not say that this left the factory in this way. And since the seller really isn't even sure themselves, I would not suggest anybody purchasing this guitar if they think it is an original. I mean, this guitar started at almost $11,000. It's been marked down to $7,000. With all of these questions in the air, this guitar is probably realistically worth around $2,500 because it is a beautiful guitar. Custom ordered or an aftermarket replacement job, the work was done well. However, as a Norlin era lover and enthusiast, I do not believe it left the factory this way. Because one final thing that seals the deal for me, if this guitar really was from the factory this way and in next to near mint condition, why does it not have the original case? If somebody cared for this guitar that much, it would not have a 90s Gibson Les Paul case. It just wouldn't. It would have one of the Lifton reissues. Alright, so I hope you Troglodytes enjoyed this video where I just kind of vented some of my thoughts about this guitar. Because instead of doing my work and making a new video, I decided I would write this really long response to this thread, so I thought it'd be worthwhile to share with everyone else. So thank you Troglodytes for watching, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.